going on, Jerome's? So your Minnesota Fighting Vikings are going to pull like the Minnesota Timberwolves against the Lakers on Thursday night. Werewolves of Vikings or something like that. Either way, Vikings are going to whip somebody's ass. And actually, you know what the Lions should do? If Ben Johnson had half a brain and was actually worth $15 million per year, sitting down Jared Goff, who is a turnover machine, and putting in Teddy one time, man. Like he's going to retire and coach some high school ball. Let him go out in a blaze of glory. The place where it all started for him. Actually, Teddy's home was TCF Bank Stadium, wasn't it? Doesn't matter. Anyways, your Vikings look to stay alive in the NFC North race as well as keep pace in the wild card chase and really cement their spot there. So the Vikings at 7-7 need to get to 8-7. Beep bop 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 boop during the whiteout Christmas Eve, U.S. Bank Stadium. So here are 10 keys for the Vikings to get a victory on Sunday. First up, number 1. Flores brings back that love and feeling. So Brian Flores' defense has done phenomenal work throughout the year, and especially was a catalyst in the 5-game winning streak. I mean, the Falcons game sort of got away, but it happens. And in the modern NFL, if you hold the opposing team under 20 points, you should do okay. But last second touchdown against the Broncos, it sort of is what it is. But their performance against the Bears and the Raiders doesn't get enough love. And I mean, against the Bengals, it happens, man. So three touchdowns, 3 straight drives in the fourth quarter against Jake frickin' Browning and his arm punts, and also that shot to Boyd in overtime. It is what it is. But you got to get back, because the Lions are 5th in the league in points. They're 3rd in the league in yards. They are divisional rivals, and the defense has to lead the way, because there is no Kirk Cousins, and even the offense hopefully is going to get their ish together and put up some points, because they still got those playmakers. The easiest way to get a win is limit what Detroit does offensively, because defensively they can get got. That has certainly been shown. So shutting down Jared Goff, shutting down all the hype around Ben Johnson would be fantastic. Next up, also, if it's a close game and it comes down to a game management situation, like who's going to screw up more? Dan Campbell or KOC? Number 2, we after that asked Jared, so that's right. Jared Goff, when under pressure, his quarterback rating drops precipitously, about 56.6 points, one of the worst drop-offs in the league. And Danielle Hunter, he's got to bring that heat, man. Like, Danielle Hunter does need a career game, and he has done extremely well against the Lions before. He had a hat trick against Detroit a handful of years ago. Of course, that was Matthew Stafford. I mean, some of those Zimmer defenses against Stafford, like Stafford literally got pressured 30 times and got sacked 10 times. We need to bring that back, man. But Danielle Hunter, second in the defensive player of the year chase. Well, will be, but second in sacks this season. And I think that he needs to have himself a big cluster game where we've seen, Harrison Smith have 3 sacks. We've seen other guys have multiple sacks. We need Danielle to put up a 3 spot from 3. I love it. Also, obviously, with the familiarity with being in the division and the Vikings scoring off against the Lions twice in the next 3 weeks, I mean, the Lions are certainly going to know about Danielle Hunter. And also, Penei Sewell is close to 100%. I mean, it could be a little bit tough out there, but it also opens up huge opportunities. How about Ivan Pace Jr. gets going a little bit more as a pass rusher, especially with Jordan Hicks potentially back? That could free him up. Hey, what about DJ Wanham? I mean, Wanham's quietly having a very solid season. He's got 7 sacks. How about we get that to 8, 9, 10? How about we do that? Next up, key number 3. The sun sets on Amon-Ra St. Brown. So, respect. Amon-Ra is one of the best slot receivers in the game. He's a monster. He is by far their target leader with 132. He's got 94 catches, 1,175 yards receiving, 7 touchdowns. He's great. He's phenomenal. I got a lot of love and respect for Amon-Ra, the pride of USC. And also, Byron Murphy Jr., either not playing or severely hampered with that hamstring, certainly does complicate things, because the Vikings don't necessarily have a 1-for-1 replacement in the slot for Murphy Jr. I know the Booth is potentially going to be dropping in the slot, but also a lot of it has been Josh Metellus. So it could take a village in that spot. And if I'm the Lions, so Amon-Ra plays about 55 to 60% of his snaps in the slot versus outside. And if Murphy Jr. isn't there, I'm planting Amon-Ra's ass in the slot until the Vikings prove that they can stop it, and then just go from there, man. But again, a lot of love and respect for 14. Next up, number 4. No dumb plays from Mullins. Now, we saw it. It was so hard, leaving 6 to 14 points up on the board. First interception, whatever. That happens. That's a football play. The second one, I love that Mullins was coming over the sideline like Kevin O'Connell was like, I threw it. It's like, yeah, dummy, you threw it, and it didn't hit the ground, so it's interception either way. But Mullins, he's got that gunslinger in him. Sometimes gunslingers get shot, and you just got to avoid it. Like, he's never going to be like a safe option, and in actuality, like, maybe the Vikings don't get those 2 Jordan Addison touchdowns if he's a little bit more conservative, but he can operate the offense. He delivers an accurate ball. He can do everything to a degree that Kirk Cousins has done, and he fits the Kevin O'Connell offense extremely well. So again, Mullins, woosah on some of the dumb stuff, and then we can have ourselves a nice game. And also the Lions defense, Aaron Glenn I have a lot of respect for, but they've been dealing with injuries, and also it's just been rough for them. But the Lions are 23rd in points, 15th in yards, also 29th in red zone. So once the Vikings get down in that painted area, they got to punch it in. Like, they need 7s, they need not 3s. Next up, number 5, let Ty Chandler cook. And yeah, it's unfortunate that it took an injury to Alexander Madison, but Ty Chandler looked extremely good against Cincinnati. 132 yards, 5.7 yards per carry. Also a couple of nice receptions. And that's a part of it too, where, I mean, this Lions defense is predicated on getting pressure. So if you can run the ball with a plum and take a little bit of starch out of Aiden Hutchinson and company, that could be very, very big. Also, what's huge, so the Lions are actually pretty decent against the run statistically, black and white wise, but Aleem McNeil going down on injured reserve, that knee injury, that's big. That's really huge. So you're not going to get that quick penetration up the middle. So I think that the Vikings and Ty Chandler, I think that running game could get going very nicely on Sunday against Detroit. Next up, number 6, JJ re-breakout game. Now, JJ wants to get to 1K for the year. And Jefferson, like, he had a nice game. It wasn't huge. Addison had himself the big-time game, but it was a nice reintroduction where the Raiders game was cut short, but JJ, 7 catches for 84 on 10 targets, and I think that he's ready to break this thing out, where the Vikings season is literally on the line, and the Vikings trying to keep their NFC North division hopes alive. And frankly, with the Vikings playing the Lions 2 of the last 3, and the Vikings having home game against the Packers, and the Lions having to go on the road against the Cowboys, it's open, man. It's open. So JJ's going to be hyped. Whiteout game, going to get after it. And also with the Lions, I mean, Cam Sutton was the big-time signee from the Steelers, but he can't hang with JJ. Will Harris and Jerry Jacobs, whatever. And yes, they potentially could be getting C.J. Gardner-Johnson back off of IR, and Brian Branch is a stud too. So they got dudes in that secondary, but can't hang with 18. And if they try to, try to bracket or double and triple JJ, I think Addison could have another stellar game, man. Like, Addison, I love that breakout game. I know that we gave him a little bit of poop when Dobbs was whatever, but I mean, respect to Nick Mullins. Like, he looked really, really good with Addison on Sunday. Next up, key number 7, Hockenson versus Laporta. That's right. So TJ Hockenson, former Lion, second game against his former squad, and I do think that he is going to get double-digit targets, and I think that he's got a little bit something to prove. And of course, Hockenson had himself a great game last year in the whiteout game against the Giants. The first time against the Giants, when we were really good at beating the Giants at home. It's tough, man. And Sam Laporta, the prodigal son, the cat's in the cradle and silver spoon, another monster tight end out of Iowa. He's been looking great this year, and respect. 9 touchdowns, tied with Addison for the rookie lead, and it's going to be a tough game, especially like we said. The Lions are going to key on TJ Hockenson. Like, yes, they got concerns all over the place, but the aforementioned Brian Branch, the aforementioned C.J. Gardner-Johnson potentially coming back. Jack Campbell is pretty solid in terms of coverage in the middle. He's an athletic freak. Respect there. So, the Lions are obviously going to be keying on 87, but he's got to rise above. And for the Vikings, so Jordan Hicks potentially returning could be great news for the Vikings because that could free up Ivan Pace Jr. to, blitz as well as drop in coverage a little bit more. So I think it is going to take a village to stop Sam Laporta over the middle. So the linebackers as well as Metellus, Beasley getting all up in there. It's going to be tough, especially in the red zone. That's where Jared Goff and Ben Johnson like finding Laporta, man. Next up, key number 8 for the Vikings to get a win on Sunday. Win the turnover battle. And that's been the hallmark of the Vikings season so far. It's just woulda, coulda, shoulda with the turnovers. Whether it's fumbles, whether it's drops, whether it's just ridiculous interceptions, it's tough, man. And the Vikings' 7 losses, again, all by 1 score. You can make a plausible case in every single game that the Vikings should have won. They are negative 14 in turnover differential. So every single loss, the Vikings are spotting the other team 2 extra possessions, usually in good field position. Can't have that. Can't win with it, man. All right, and there's a reason why when Kevin O'Connell's teams win the turnover battle or at least break even, they're undefeated. And I think that's what's going to have to take. So, Jared Goff has been a turnover machine as of late. So getting a couple meatballs from him, getting it to turf it, Danielle Hunter strip sack one time, Mullins and everyone else taking care of the football. I'm going to go from there, man. Absolutely. Next up, key number 9. Next men up. So the Vikings dealing with a couple injuries right now. So Brian O'Neill is out with that ankle in all likelihood. Quisenberry filled in very nicely against Cincinnati. Madison, Deuce, again, also with a high ankle sprain. Ty Chandler filled in very nicely as well. And there's some guys up in the air. So Byron Murphy Jr. DNP'd Wednesday and Thursday with that hamstring. TBD what happens with him today on Friday with designations. Also, Harrison Phillips. So Harrison Phillips with a back issue. DNP'd 2 days. We'll see what happens with him on Friday, but that would be a huge loss. I mean, Harrison Phillips, even though, like we said a bunch, I think he's playing out of position, but he's playing his ass off, and he's having himself probably the best season of his career. But if he can't go, we do need guys like Jaquelin Roy, the rookie from LSU. We do need guys like Sheldon Day, to really step up along that defensive line because, the Lions are going to want to bring it. Like, Dan Campbell is a meat and potatoes guy. They're going to try and hammer it home with Montgomery, who we're very familiar with, as well as this will be the first time the Vikings face Jahmyr Gibbs. And they're actually using Gibbs now. So it is going to be kind of tough, and I think that they will try to hide behind their fantastic offensive line, try to hide Jared Goff a little bit. So especially if Harrison Phillips can't go, other guys got to step it up in the front 7. Next up, number 10, one special teams play. It's back, man. Like a fake punt makes sense, but also I'm calling it right now. Carry on my J Ward, son. J Ward blocked punt, scoop and score. There we go. I think that's going to be the big time special teams play. Also, since the Vikings are just so damn determined to play all these close single score games, Ryan Wright, who has been punting better as of late, is obviously very huge with the field position, as well as Greg Joseph. Just keep making kicks, man. That's all. Final score predictions. So I think the Vikings defense and Flores, I think that they took the Bengals game personally. Also, I think Flores deep down, like when you say Ben Johnson, a couple years of play calling experience, all of a sudden he's reportedly demanding $50 million per year. Whether that's legit or not, who cares? Either way, Flores, he's got to be pissed about it, and I think he's going to flex out. I think the defense gets back on track. I think they do get after Jared Goff. I think that he does give the Vikings a couple meatballs. I think they run the ball. I think JJ has himself a big-time game. I think Hawkinson gets a measure of revenge. I think Mullins overall looks pretty damn solid and avoids the Mullins mistakes. And the Vikings, They keep Skull alive. Give me Vikings 23, Lions 19, and the Vikings get one up against Detroit. Keep the NFC North alive for them and go from there. All right, that's it. That is a Vikings Lions preview. What are your keys? Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull production value.